Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this week's meditation by the School of Christian Mysticism, and welcome to those who may be joining us at another time. The passages for this morning's service were Genesis chapter 1, verses 1 to 19, Matthew chapter 21, verses 1 to 17, and Psalms 2 and 110. This morning's meditation will arise from the Genesis passage. In the name of the source of all, may we come into the silence of presence. Let's begin with 3 grounding breaths, feeling the weight of our bodies on our seats and on the floor, and have a focus on the inhale as we draw in the strength of our Mother, the Earth. Now imagine a night sky and those pictures we've seen of the blue planet hanging in space. And take 3 expanding breaths, focusing on the exhale. And now centering in your heart, seeing your heart nested in the universal heart. Take 3 breaths, focusing on the space between the inhale and the exhale and the inhale. Recently, a new telescope, even more powerful than the Hubble, which gave us the blue planet pictures, has been sent into space. The James Webb Telescope. Scientists say it can peer back in time 13.35 billion years. 13.35 billion years back in time, which is almost as far as the Big Bang. Can it be coincidence that its launch was delayed and finally happened on December the 25th this year? The giant mirror of this telescope will reflect what the first chapter of Genesis reaches to describe. Now, imagine that you can look in the mirror of that telescope and imagine what it's reflecting as I read the Genesis story day by day. If you were at morning prayer, you will have heard this story in a modern translation, and you may read the same at another time. I should be reading in the King James translation, for to me it is more allusive and poetic. So, looking in the mirror of the giant telescope and seeing what Genesis offers. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. And God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. And the evening and the morning were the second day. And God said, "Let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters called he seas. And God saw that it was good. And God said, "Let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth." And it was so. And the earth brought forth grass, and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the third day. And God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons, and for days and years. And let them be for lights in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the fourth day. So in our meditation, we've tried to enter into the picture of the origins of the universe presented in the first chapter of Genesis. Scientists produce, of course, their own picture, which many of them see as demolishing the version in Genesis. Perhaps they misunderstand the work of poetry. But in his programs about the universe, Professor Brian Cox challenged current orthodoxy, that scientific orthodoxy, that the world began with the Big Bang. And he argues, and other scientists like Roger Penrose agree with him, that it goes even further back, much further back. And during that program, Professor Cox produced a version of the science story, his science story, which he linked with the Genesis story. Here is the science creation story. In the beginning, there was an ocean of energy that drove a rapid expansion of space, known as inflation. There were ripples in the ocean. As inflation ended, the ocean of energy was converted into matter by the Big Bang. And the pattern of the ripples was imprinted into our universe as regions of slightly different density in the hydrogen and helium gas that formed shortly after the Big Bang. The denser regions of gas collapsed to form the first stars and the first galaxies. And 9 billion years later, a new star formed in the Milky Way, the Sun. The star was joined by 8 planets, including Earth. And nearly 13.8 billion years after it all began, we emerged, blinking into the light. Throughout the ages, human beings have tried to stretch their minds to imagine and understand how the earth and the human race came into being. What science has done, it seems to me, is fill out the details of the picture drafted in Genesis. And we, like the author of Genesis, are still blinking in the wonder and beauty of the light of creation. Amen. Thank you.